You want to finally get rid of skinny fat and build that lean, muscular body, but no matter what you try, you just end up staying stuck. And if you've ever wondered, should I bulk or cut first, then you're in exactly the right place. Because the truth is that bulking isn't the answer. Cutting isn't either, and if you don't understand what actually works, you're never gonna fix skinny fat. In this video, I'm gonna show you the 4-step blueprint that reveals exactly when to cut, when to bulk, and when to mini cut based on your body right now. And by the end, you'll have complete clarity and you'll avoid the 3 biggest mistakes that kept me skinny fat for years. This could be the video that finally changes your entire fitness journey, so stick with me until the end. And if you want to know exactly how long it's going to take for you to get abs, I've built a 3x six-pack calculator, so you can just drop in your stats and it's going to give you a personalized timeline, so that's linked below. Now let me give you some context, because I've made every single mistake you can think of when it comes to trying to fix skinny fat. Most guys either try and cut too hard and get skinny, or they bulk too long hoping to build muscle, but they just end up fatter. That's why so many people stay stuck looking the same year after year. That was me for years. I bounced between bulking and cutting and even trying to recomp, and every time I ended up frustrated, smaller, softer, or just bigger and puffier. Nothing worked because I didn't have a clear system. What finally worked was creating a cycle, so lean bulking and mini cutting with an eventual major cut if you want to finally reveal your abs. It gave me structure, easy progress markers, and kept me motivated instead of just second guessing myself. And when you do it this way, you're going to actually see visible progress, so you're going to be able to build muscle while keeping fat under control instead of just spinning around in circles. But here's the key: you can't just jump into bulking or cutting blindly. Each has its own strategies and traps, and if you get those wrong, the whole blueprint falls apart. So let's start with step 1 of the blueprint, because this is where most skinny fat guys fail first. Most people slash their calories way too low, hammer a ton of cardio, and then try and starve the fat off. And yes, the scale weight is going to drop, but so does your muscle mass. You end up smaller, weaker, and still carrying that extra body fat around your midsection. That's not escaping skinny fat, that's just becoming skinny. I made this mistake myself. I did 90 minutes of cardio every single day. I was eating just under 1,000 calories and the weight came off, but I didn't look any better. I just ended up with no muscle, the same belly fat, and just months of suffering went into nothing. The right way to cut is about strategy and not punishment. So you want a mini cut at around 4 to 6 weeks, and you want to keep this fast but controlled. This isn't to get shredded, it's to clean up your physique before gaining muscle. Or you can go into a major cut if you're above 20% body fat, or you're ready to finally reveal the abs that you've built during your lean bulk. The focus is resistance training, a high protein diet, eating foods that are low calorie but high in volume, and daily walking. But here's the catch: if you stop here, you'll just be a smaller version of skinny fat, and that's why cutting is only step 1 of the blueprint. The real transformation starts in step 2, and this is where most guys often screw up. Step 2 is about building muscle the right way. Most people bulk way too hard. They get into their bulk and they just pile on the calories. They stop tracking and they just hope that they gain muscle. What really happens is that they just get fat and they end up back in the trap looking worse. I did this too. I thought the harder I bulked, the more muscle I'd gain. Instead, I just got softer, more bloated, and it set me back for months. The fix is to do a lean bulk. So staying in a small, controlled surplus, so gaining no more than half a pound a week. So that's just enough to build muscle without piling on the fat. You want to stick to foods that you actually enjoy, and you want to keep your steps high for digestion and nutrient partitioning. And then you want to hit your protein with simple staples that you can rely on. When you lean bulk this way, you're going to actually look better when you grow. So you're going to end up stronger, fuller, and looking a lot leaner instead of just blowing up and undoing all of your hard work. But here's the real problem: most people don't know whether they should be bulking or cutting in the first place. And that's why they waste years in the skinny fat limbo. So that's where step 3 of the blueprint clears it all up. This is the step that finally answers whether you should bulk or cut. Here's the truth and the benchmarks that you need to look out for. If you're 20+% body fat, then you need to start with a major cut. If you're 15 to 20% body fat, then you need to use mini cuts and lean bulks. And if you're under 15% body fat, then your main focus should be to lean bulk. And if you're still within your first year of training, a recomp can work, but I just prefer mini cuts and lean bulks because the progress is clearer and easier to stay motivated. These benchmarks benchmarks means no more guessing, and you'll know exactly what to do, and you'll keep moving forward instead of just spinning around in circles. And now you know what phase to be in, you're probably thinking to yourself, how long is this actually going to take? And that's exactly why I made a 3x six-pack calculator, so you can grab that for free down below. But even if you make the right decision on whether you should bulk or cut, if you make the same mistakes that I did, you're going to stay stuck and still make no progress. That's why step 4 of the blueprint is all about the traps you need to avoid. Most skinny fat guys don't fail because they're lazy, it's because they keep repeating the same mistakes. They either cut wrong, bulk wrong, and they do it without realizing it. I made every single one under the sun. I cut too hard, I bulked too sloppy, and I thought I was progressing until I actually looked in the mirror and realized that nothing had changed, or in fact, my physique actually got worse. Here's what you want to avoid when it comes to cutting. You don't want to overdo cardio because that means your recovery is going to suffer, muscle's going to disappear, and instead you need to do 2 to 3 cardio sessions a week, 20 minutes each, and 8 to 10,000 steps every single day. Slashing calories too hard, and now quick fixes backfire. You want to aim to lose around 1% of your body weight per week at the highest calories possible. And then neglecting protein. So muscle melts without protein. So you need to stick to foods that you like, which means that hitting your protein target becomes effortless. And then the 3 main bulking mistakes are dirty bulking, so overeating in a surplus, which means you get unnecessary fat gain, not necessarily more muscle. So you want to stick to a surplus, which means you gain around half a pound a week, but no more than that. Poor meal structure when appetite tanks, which means if you miss your calories, you're going to stall growth, which means that if your appetite's low, you need to spread your meals out every 3 to 4 hours, so then you can actually get your calories in. And then dropping your activity too low because you're in a bulk. The fewer steps that you do, it technically means more fat storage. So you need to keep to at least 6K steps a day for nutrient partitioning and digestion. If you avoid these traps, everything's going to change because the fat's going to come off, the muscle's going to stay on, and your body's going to finally transform week by week. This is the difference between years of frustration and finally fixing skinny fat for good. So now you've got the complete 4-step blueprint to escape skinny fat, and you know exactly what traps to avoid, but here's the thing. Knowing the blueprint is just the start. If you don't set up your first lean bulk or mini cut the right way, so calculating your calories, your macros, or actually building the right training plan, that's when you're going to mess up the most. That's why you need to watch this video next, because I'll walk you through it step by step on how to set up your lean bulk or your mini cut so you can actually apply the blueprint starting today.